Picture this, you've nurtured a tomato plant for weeks, only to find it wilting and browning. It's a gardener's nightmare. Imagine the scene. You've invested your time, your energy, your hopes into this beautiful tomato plant. You've watched it grow from a tiny seedling to a thriving, lush plant. And then, one day, you notice something's off. The leaves are drooping. The vibrant green color is fading to a sickly brown. Before you know it, your tomato plant, your labor of love, is wilting away before your very eyes. What happened? Well, friends, I'm afraid you've fallen victim to one of the most common gardening blunders: improper watering. Yes, as simple as it may seem, watering your plants is a delicate art. And when it comes to tomato plants, they can be especially finicky. You see, tomato plants enjoy a good drink, but they don't like to have wet feet. Overwatering your tomato plant can lead to a condition known as root rot, which, as the name suggests, causes the roots of your plant to rot away. And without healthy roots, your plant simply can't survive. On the flip side, underwatering can be just as detrimental. Tomato plants are thirsty creatures. They need a consistent supply of water to produce those juicy, delicious tomatoes we all love. Without adequate water, your plant will wilt, its leaves will brown, and it may eventually die. So, how do you strike the perfect balance? It's all about paying attention to your plant and its needs. The soil should be moist, but not waterlogged. If the top of the soil is dry to the touch, it's time to water your plant. But if the soil is still damp, hold off for a bit. And don't forget to check on your plant regularly. Look out for signs of distress, like yellowing leaves or stunted growth. These could be signals that your plant isn't getting the water it needs. So remember, folks, your tomato plant isn't a fish. Don't drown it. Ever wake up to find your once lush garden looking like a battlefield? The culprits, garden pests. Imagine stepping outside, coffee in hand, ready to admire your labor of love, only to find that your beautiful blooms have been besieged by bugs. It's a scene far too familiar for many gardeners, and it's the stuff of nightmares. But fear not, for every problem there's a solution. Garden pests come in all shapes and sizes, from tiny aphids that suck the life out of your plants, to voracious caterpillars munching their way through your vegetable patch. Even the humble slug, seemingly harmless, can wreak havoc on your prized hostas. But the real blunder isn't the pests themselves. They're just doing what comes naturally. No, the real mistake is underestimating them, not taking preventive measures, and letting your garden become an all-you-can-eat buffet. So how do you protect your garden from these tiny terrors? Well, it's all about being proactive. Regularly inspect your plants for signs of infestation. Look for holes in leaves, yellowing foliage, or a sticky residue known as honeydew. These are telltale signs that pests have moved in. And when you spot them, don't panic. There are many natural and effective ways to evict these unwanted guests. Introducing beneficial insects like ladybugs and lacewings can help keep aphids in check. Diatomaceous earth, a non-toxic powder made from fossilized aquatic organisms, can deter slugs and beetles. And planting garlic or marigolds can repel a range of pests, from nematodes to rabbits. But perhaps the most important tip is this: maintain a healthy garden. Pests are opportunists and are more likely to attack stressed or unhealthy plants. Regular watering, proper fertilization, and good garden hygiene can go a long way in keeping your garden pest-free. Remember, gardening is not just about growing plants. It's about nurturing an ecosystem, striking a balance between the good bugs and the bad, the plants and the pests. Arm yourself with knowledge and those pesky pests won't stand a chance. Imagine planting seeds and waiting, and waiting, and waiting, but nothing sprouts. Could the culprit be your soil? Now let's delve into the soil saga. Soil isn't just dirt, folks. It's a bustling metropolis of nutrients, minerals, and microorganisms that plants need to thrive. If your soil isn't up to par, your plants simply won't grow. A common misstep gardeners make is not testing their soil before planting. You wouldn't bake a cake without knowing the ingredients, would you? The same principle applies to gardening. Different plants have different soil needs. Some prefer acidic soil, while others need a more alkaline environment. By not testing your soil, you could be setting your plants up for failure from the get-go. And here's another blunder: not adding necessary nutrients to the soil. Just like us, plants need a balanced diet to grow strong and healthy. They consume nutrients from the soil, and if those nutrients aren't replenished, your soil can turn into a plant food desert. This is where composting comes in. Composting is like cooking a gourmet meal for your plants. It's a way of recycling organic material like vegetable scraps and lawn clippings into nutrient-rich soil. Plus, it's a great way to reduce household waste. But remember, moderation is key. overloading your soil with nutrients can be just as harmful as not adding any. Too much of a good thing can make soil nutrient levels too high, which can harm your plants. Now, you might be thinking, this soil business sounds complicated, but don't fret. Improving your soil quality doesn't have to be a Herculean task. Start by testing your soil to understand what it needs. Add compost regularly, but don't overdo it. And if your soil is seriously out of whack, consider using soil amendments. These are materials like lime or sulfur that can help adjust your soil's pH level to make it more plant-friendly. Soil is the foundation of your garden. Treat it right and it'll return the favor. Ever pruned a bush only to step back and realize you've turned it into a sad, leafless twig? Fear not, you're not alone. Welcome to the wild world of pruning, a delicate dance between gardener and plant. When done correctly, pruning can stimulate growth, boost fruit production, and even help control pests. However, it can be all too easy to get carried away with those clippers, leading to some unfortunate topiary transformations. One of the most common pruning pitfalls is over-pruning. It's like going for a trim and ending up with a buzz cut, not what you intended. Over-pruning can stress your plants, leaving them vulnerable to disease and stunting their growth. The key here is moderation. Remember, it's easier to make more cuts later than to stick those leaves back on. Then there's the timing. Pruning at the wrong time can lead to a host of problems, from reduced flowering to increased susceptibility to frost damage. As a general rule, prune summer flowering plants in early spring and spring, flowering plants just after they've bloomed. However, always research the specific needs of your plants as pruning times can vary. The way you prune also matters. Ragged cuts can harm your plants and invite disease. Always use sharp, clean tools and make smooth, angled cuts just above a bud or branch. This encourages healthy new growth and helps your plants heal faster. But what if you've already made these mistakes? Well, plants are resilient, and many can bounce back from a bad prune. Just give them some extra love and care. Ensure they're well watered, consider a balanced fertilizer, and resist the urge to prune again too soon. Remember, pruning is more than just cutting back. It's about understanding your plants, their cycles, and their needs. It's about nurturing growth, not stifling it. With a little patience and practice, you can master the art of pruning and help your garden thrive. Pruning is like a haircut for your plants. Do it right, and they'll thank you with a flourish of growth. Now that we've shared a few laughs and epic fails, let's recap what we've learned. We kicked things off with the tomato plant tragedy. We've all been there, overwatering, underwatering, or just plain forgetting about our humble tomato plants. The key takeaway here is to understand the needs of your plants. For tomatoes, they require consistent watering and a lot of sunlight. So, keep that watering can on standby, and make sure your tomatoes are soaking up the sun. Next, we faced the attack of the garden pests. Those pesky critters can turn a thriving garden into a wasteland in no time. Whether it's slugs munching on your lettuce or aphids feasting on your roses, the solution lies in early detection and intervention. Natural pest control methods, such as introducing beneficial insects or using homemade repellents, can go a long way in safeguarding your garden. Then we delved into the soil saga. Remember, soil is the lifeblood of your garden, and getting it wrong can spell disaster. The 3 S's, structure, substance, and pH level, are crucial to a fertile garden. Don't forget to test your soil regularly and amend it as necessary. Your plants will thank you. We also tackled pruning gone wrong. While it may seem like a simple task, incorrect pruning can seriously harm your plants. The key is to prune at the right time and in the right way. Always remember, less is more when it comes to pruning. In summary, gardening is a learning process filled with trials and errors. But with each fail, we gain invaluable knowledge that makes us better gardeners. So don't be disheartened by these blunders. Instead, see them as stepping stones to a flourishing garden. Remember, every gardener has their share of blunders. But with these tips, you're well on your way to a thriving garden. Happy gardening!